Alright, so let's try giving this a paint. So the directions are by Rhonda Bender, like the beginner paint kit and the later up kit. So it says this kit includes the following items. Krampus came with the 4 colors, and then it also says that you need a black and a white, so I grabbed my pure black and my pure white. So normally I prime my miniatures, but I'm going to try painting him straight out of the box. I did give him a quick wash and let it dry. I also made sure I shook up my paints real good before I started. And so the instructions talk about base coating, washing, dry brushing, and a couple of steps, and then gives directions for how to do the dry brushing and then make the colors. So to start with, the fur is going to be shield brown plus 3 drops of black. So we'll grab our shield brown and put 1 drop on the palette. And something I learned from doing the Learn to Paint kits is it can be a little tricky because the drops will come out at a little different size. So you need to be a little careful to try and keep them all the same size. And so we'll stir that around. Yeah, see here it's turned almost completely black. So we'll try adding a little bit more shield brown. Maybe the drop of the shield brown was the smallest. The black just completely overwhelmed it. There we go. Now we got a little color there instead of just black. And so since I'm not priming it, I'm actually using the paint pretty much straight out of the dropper bottles. Because I have learned that not primed minis can struggle a little bit if you thin down your paint, so it'll just kind of beat up. It's a little bit trickier to get it to stick. So we're running this pretty much at full strength. Now normally I'd put just about a 1-to-1 of paint and water. And that does stick to primer just fine. Sometimes it'll take more than 1 coat to get coverage, whereas with this, I think 1 coat will do it. And I try and mix up a little bit extra because I know in the instructions a lot of times to do the dry brushing piece you'll just add white or a lighter color to what you've already made up, so I want to try and make sure I have a little left over. Just trying to paint with the grain of the fur here. That's the other nice thing about when I prime, I use black or zenithal sometimes, so if I miss a little spot it doesn't really stand out. Like if I miss a spot with this, it's really going to stand out. And since this is just the initial base coat, I'm not being overly careful about where I'm putting the paint. I'm just trying to get it on and make sure I get everything. And then it does remind us to get the tip of the tail. So we'll get that. Get back in here. Don't want to miss anything. Like I said, it's really going to stand out with that light gray versus the pretty dark fur. So we want to make sure we get all the fur. Kind of like when you're cleaning mold lines, you think you got everything till you're done, and you find that one little spot that you missed. But I think we got it. Alright, since that's wet, we're going to go down to the coal in the barrel, which is base coating with Ultramarine Blue. So this will be pretty straightforward. Looks like we got all of that. So next in the instructions are the leather barrel straps, which I think I'm going to skip for right now because I still got some wet paint on there. And so we can go to the wood staff and barrel. We got 1 drop of the gold color and 1 drop of shield brown. So we got 2 drops of the shield brown. We'll do 2 drops of this. And we'll mix that up. So that comes out a nice light brown. Okay, and we're going to try not to miss anything. Now we can get the wooden barrel. So now this is where I do have to start being a little bit careful. I don't want to hit the color, the fur. Get this on it. This might end up taking 2 coats. Out of habit, I put a drop of water in there, so now it's pretty thin. Doesn't seem to be beading up though, that's good. Now the trickiest part, getting the top, covering up all my Ultramarine Blue, which it looks like I did a little bit already. So I'll just go back in and fix that. Now it's starting to dry a little bit, so I don't want to go back in and put more paint on right now. End up tearing up what I already did. We got snowy ground. I'm going to base coat that in white. I'm going to end up painting the edge black, so I just really need the top of it. I don't have to worry too much about getting it on the edge. The black will cover over the white just fine. Alright, so we got that done. The barrel hooves and the staff handle. We're going to do a little non-metallic metal, it looks like. So to base coat it, we need 1 drop Ultramarine Blue and 1 drop black and 1 drop white. So here, I'm going to use the brush tip method. I'm just going to pick up a brush tip of each. So we'll go, the stuff on the barrel looks dry already. So we'll do this first. The nice thing about this manual is really for getting a miniature ready for tabletop. It kind of follows the base coat, wash, highlight, and that's about all you need when you're 3-4 feet away on a table. That will most certainly get the minis on your table and looking pretty decent. So I can see that's wet up there still, so I don't want to get into that. Looks like we're going to be doing this again, because I do still have wet paint there. Same thing here, it's still a little wet. Yeah, it's definitely wet underneath. So we'll come back to that. We'll start working on this here. Everything I ever learned about the legend of Krampus, I'd have to say I learned on The Office, when Dwight starts talking about him. That was a long time ago, though. Can't say I remember many of the details. I think he comes and steals the naughty children and takes them away. Which would definitely be a legend that fits something Dwight would talk about. Alright, so let's take a minute here and we'll get this guy dried off good. Alright, now that everything's dry, I did see some spots in the fur I missed. So I'll touch those up. I'll recoat the barrel and redo the blue a little bit. So let's get this fur touched up. Got some there. I had some where the brown leaked over. I want to touch that up. Missed some up by the barrel right here by his neck. There's a little bit right in there. There's just always more to touch up. So now we can go recoat that brown. Trying to put it on a little thinner this time so it dries a little quicker. Then we'll let that dry. We'll come back and redo this. Seeing any other areas of the fur I missed. Go in and hit this coal again. Then we can grab our darker blue. Touch up as it looks like a straw bundle actually. And touch up along here. You can see for the little bit more detailed stuff, I like to set the miniature actually on the table. Then I brace my hands together, try and keep everything nice and steady. So I can hit those top edges of the bands. Then when we flip it over and do the bottom edges, I'll kind of do the same thing where I'm resting the mini on there. And it looks like I got some little careless and ended up putting a little paint on his staff here. So we'll wait for that to dry and fix that up pretty easy. So it looks like his fur is all dried. So now would probably be a good time to start doing the dry brushing on that. So let's take a look at what it says. So the dry brush 1 is 1 drop of shield brown and 1 drop of black. Oh, excuse me, I mean the washes, sorry. So we want 1 drop of black. And 3 drops of water. So we got 1, 2, 3. And we'll give that a good mix. And then we'll wash it all over the let's wait on this. It's always the hardest part is planning out the mini, but we see that the leather straps, which I haven't painted yet, get that. We'll use this on the barrel hoops and the staff handle. We can do that. I'll go in here and wash this quick. I'll give that a chance to dry. Looks like it's washing pretty good. So the other advantage of doing a smaller area too first is it didn't work quite right. It's much less to repaint. So let's get those leather straps knocked out. So the leather barrel straps are Auburn Shadow. Get that on, and I can let that dry while I fix up the staff there a little bit. We're just sneaking it in there. Wraps around to the back. Looks like we got the side pretty good, but touched up there. Kind of hides behind his fur a little bit before going in right there. And we'll get the other side here. Under his hand. There's even a spot fur I missed. Go figure. But that'll get covered up by the wash. I gotta get the underneath of the strap here. And it looks like it shoots in right around the tail here. All right. Let's fix that staff. I decided it needed more blue apparently. Just thinned right out. On the bright side, that's a little bit more normal of the paint consistency that I work with. Where the wash kind of leached up those a little bit, so I'm gonna let that dry. Looks like our straps are pretty well dried, so we can go ahead and we'll wash the whole thing now. That should make those little pockets and whatnot just a little bit darker. And we want to put a lot of wash under here because we missed a spot. There we go. That looks like that covered up pretty good. Just getting his arm here. Don't want to forget the tail. Alright, he is all washed up. So So let's look at what we're doing here, because now we have to wait for that wash to dry. So we can not do the skin yet, because his tail's got some wet wash on it. We can paint the inside of the mouth black. So there we go. Inside of his mouth is black. His teeth will get white, but we're not quite ready for that yet. The horns get 2 drops of gold, 1 drop of shield brown. That we can probably do. It looks like it's drying up there pretty good. That all mixed up. And we can get the horns base coated. I'm going to stay away from painting right by the head for now. We can give that wash a little extra time to dry. I haven't tried sanding on this yet. See if it's more like Bones Black that sands pretty well, or if it's more like the Bones material. The classic Bones does not sand very well. It just kind of peels up and makes a mess. So I tend to always try and cut the bones. On the Bones Black, sometimes I'll use a file. And sometimes I'll just cut. But it's nice to have options, especially depending where it is and how bad it is. Sometimes it can be easier to file if you can't really get enough room to scrape. Alright, I think that'll work for the first base coat. We're kind of to a point where we need to dry them out again. Alright, so let's flip back and look at the dry brushing on the fur, because I'll probably end up going over a little bit and getting it on the skin in places. So I want to get that done before I start working on the skin. So our first dry brush is 1 shield brown, 1 black. And so here I'm changing brushes. This is actually a Reaper Pro Paint 8501 number 2 dry brush. It came with either the Learn to Paint kit or the Layer Up kit. I'm not sure which. But for my small dry brush, that's what I use. I have some makeup brushes and whatnot that I use for a little bit bigger area. But this guy's not very big, so we're gonna just start on this. We really probably shouldn't see a whole lot of change here. This is still a pretty dark color. I'm pushing pretty hard, and I'm actually leaving it just a little bit wetter than I will for some of the later dry brush steps. I'm really trying to hit pretty much everything except for the darkest recesses. It almost becomes a new base coat except for the really deep down areas when I'm doing this first dry brush. And I'm also, for instance, not going deep in under his chin and whatnot. I'll leave those areas pretty much black, because that would be full shadow. And of course I'm trying to go against the grain on the fur, so it deposits the most paint. Got a little much on the paint that time. And then when I first start, I'm also not pushing as hard as I will as I start not having much paint left. Trying to avoid my barrel and whatnot. I did get some on the tail, so I'm glad I skipped that for now. I'm just kind of going all over again. Make sure we get everything. Alright, so that is dry brush 1. So for dry brush 2, we add 1 drop of white to the mix. And that pure white has made a pretty big jump there. So now on this round, I'm not going to cover quite as much. Just going around gently. I'm also not hitting the underneath of anything. That step really did bring out the sculpted fur a lot more than the first one. So then the second dry brush, we're going to add 1 more drop of white. And this one's going to be pretty bright. And I'm not going to do much of the actual model. So this will be top of arms, top of head, top of the legs. And I'm going to make sure that I dry out my brush much better than I did before. And here we go. So I'm doing my dry brush, I'm kind of imagining the light is coming in from this direction. So I kind of skipped this side but did this side, a little heavier on this leg and this hoof here. Not so much on this one, just a little bit. A little bit on this knee that's facing that way, a little bit up his side here. Just like that. We'll get to the very top of the tail. Trying not to recover up everything, just a little bit. Gotta get a little on his dangly fur there. Over the back here on the side facing that way. A little bit under here in the barrel, under the barrel, but not too much. There we go. So that is the fur, I believe, done. Alright, we're going to let a little soap sit in that one for a while. I got pretty loaded up. So the leather straps are next. 1 drop Auburn, and then we're going to start adding the gold to the mix. I think we got some pure Auburn right there. Now, because of the size of that, I don't want to use the flat brush to dry brush. I'm going to use this. They're from Blick Art Supplies. They're kind of my favorite cheap brushes, but they're still $4 or $5 a piece. Alright, got most of our color off. Come in and dry brush this. This is tricky, not getting on the fur there. Alright, so on the leather straps for the second one, we add a drop of gold. There we have it. And now I'm really just trying to hit that edge down there. Trying to get that little highlight come back up. Have the top of that one there. A little bit over shoulder on this one. Just kind of the edge on this. And that's that one. Now we add another drop of gold. I don't know very much where I'm going to put this one because this is going to be very bright. Again, we're just going to hit the very tops like we did with the fur. Alright, so fortunately where I missed there, right on the top of his shoulder, should be pretty bright anyways. I'll just go in and fix that up a little bit. Just like that. Put a little soap on this brush and let it sit. Alright, fur's done, leather straps are done. Wood staff, we need to wash that yet. Let's take a look at the horns real quick and see what we wash those with. The wash and that is a little different. So we'll take our Auburn Shadow here. And we'll turn that into a wash and try and keep it on the staff and not the blue part. So our wash is we need 1 drop of black, 7 drops of water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 1. And that Auburn Shadow's coming through. Let's throw a drop of that in there. I want to just ever so slightly have a red-brown tint to it here. And I think we got it. I think that'll work nicely. I don't want to forget about the top. And then we need to do the barrel. So while I'm doing this, I'm going to try and keep this pointed down so the water doesn't run back over his hand and whatnot. So now we've run into danger of washes, and I got that. Kind of running all over his body here, so I'm going to try and wipe some of that up. Fortunately, it's still pretty dark in there, so it won't be too noticeable. And then we got to let that wash dry. So we've completed, we got to base coat the hooves in black. Completely skip that. Trying not to get too much in the snow. It does look like I dripped some black or something wash in the snow there, so the white didn't completely cover anyways, so I might as well recoat that again. As long as the snow isn't yellow, we should be okay. Also assuming he's not eating the snow. Because it's important that you never eat yellow snow. Our wash is almost dry, but not quite. Can't quite do the snow yet. However, we can start working on this. So it's attempting to do a non-metallic metal type. So it says first paint a stripe down the center of the barrel. But our light is coming from here, so maybe not quite the center. Alright. Well, that part of it was easy. So we're still waiting for that stuff to dry. Now we're going to mix 2 drops of white and 1 drop of water into the base. Paint a smaller stripe inside the first one. So since I have a little black in there, I think I should probably start over. So it turns out I gotta remake the base. I thought it was just Ultramarine Blue, but it's not. It's white, black, and Ultramarine Blue. So we'll get that mixed back up. And this is actually a step above because it has the 2 extra white drops. This was our original base. This is where we're at now. And it just needed a tiny bit of water. Get it to mix together well. So now we're stretching that bright spot around a little bit. And they look about equal. So then for layer 3, I'm going to mix 2 more drops of white. So I need to fix this up just a little bit. I'm going to narrow that out, kind of square it up. Now I mix in 2 more drops of white. So this will be our brightest piece. Could drop water in there just to get it to mix up a little bit better. I'm not trying to dry paint off the brush, but I got 2 hairs that are a little crazy here. So there we go. Let's try adding a little detail here. Just one little bright reflective spot. All right, so there's that. Skin's on the page we're on now, so we can do that. We got 1 drop of Auburn Shadow, 1 drop of gold, 1 drop of white. See, now that yellow is a big drop. That's going to be hard to match. I think we got it. this will come out as a peachy color. I guess it's a little more red than peachy. So here we have to do the face, tail, hands, and ears. This one is definitely going to take 2 coats. Maybe not. Once we get a wash on there, it'll be good. But 2 thin coats is far better than 1 gloopy coat. Just noticed my computer fan's pretty loud. I should have probably stopped Bitcoin mining. So that the fans weren't all spun up. But it's a little too late on that now. It's a little tough to get in the edges here. That might be fur, that might be hands. Who really knows? Well, I would imagine Jason Weeby would know, since he did sculpt it. I, however, have no freaking clue. Now here, I'm really starting to not want to get stuff back on the fur, because it would be kind of a pain in the butt to fix at this point. And unfortunately it does not look like the top of his thumb here is furry, so I'll go ahead and paint around that. Kind of tough on some of these textures because it's wanting to wick into the fur. I'll get the underneath here a little. See, now there I think paint pulled away because I know I painted that. And I hadn't really got any paint on the hands yet. And that's why I usually prime my models, because you don't get that paint pulling away. If you catch it, it's not a big deal because you can just go over it again, and second time's usually a charm. Unless you're thinned way out, then you almost gotta rub it in, let it dry, and hope for the best on the next coat. know I'm pretty excited to see Reaper bringing manufacturing of their plastic minis back. Hopefully that doesn't greatly impact the price. But the quality on here is good. I would imagine they're new molds, so they're not old damaged molds or anything. Hasn't cranked out thousands of figures. Oh, I guess it probably did crank out thousands of figures. Hasn't cranked out tens of thousands of figures. I guess I don't know how many they sell. I know this was done as kind of a sample to get Bones USA into the hands of some painters and get some feedback. I would imagine before they really ramp up production. See, now I just bumped the tail. On the bright side, it's just plastic, and it's not like it can't be fixed. I must have done that right away, because it's pretty dry already. So let's go in with some black here. Start there and let that dry. That's unfortunately only going to get one highlight. I'll probably just get that one there after that dries a little bit. Alright, so let's work on the wood. Here we go. So we're going to dry brush. 1 drop of gold, 1 drop of shield brown. I better get this guy cleaned off. It's nice to have a dry brush when you're dry brushing, but it's dried out pretty well. We'll bring our paper towel back. So we said 1 drop of gold, 1 drop of shield brown. My parchment paper here is trying to float away. So we gotta hit here and try not to get any on the blue. Alright, challenge accepted. Now again, I'm going to cover this pretty good. Trying to just leave the deepest areas. Which are those deep grooves, and then right up underneath the bands, I'm not trying to push this color in there. this one's going to be a little tricky. I want to be real careful about not having too much paint. Where it'll flow down into the crevices. Definitely want to avoid that. Don't want to forget about the top here. Just a little bit on the bottom. Kind of heavy on the top. Towards the base. All right. So now we are at one more drop of gold. That's a pretty good jump. So here when we're dry brushing, we're not going to hit the bottom or the underneath at all. And I want to do a better job cleaning off my brush. I'm also not going to go real deep into the recesses on this one. So the hardest part with these multiple layers of dry brushing too is not wiping out everything we just did. But hitting just a little less every time. Alright, the last dry brush is straight up this color. This our light is coming in here, so we don't need much here. This is going to get lit the most, and up here. So we'll give that a shot. So here we can see we stepped up again quite a bit. We're also going to make sure we got most of the paint off the brush here. So we said it's coming in here, so let's start here. And then kind of go down here a little bit, up and around here. Don't want to hit back there too much, or go very far down. There we have it. Now here, I'm still going to hit most of the top edges pretty good. Kind of this top band for the first half on the side. Just the top there. Alright, we clean our brush out. soap on that right away. So as we go through, we've completed the fur, coal in the barrel, leather straps, wood staff and barrel, snowy ground, base coat in white. I think a little bit of variation there will be okay. So let's wash it with Ultramarine Blue. We can just probably mix that right up on the palette. Let's grab this here. It isn't that much to do. That there. There we go, that's nice. 8 drops of water. Now that I did not plan on, but I didn't make very much, so I think we can do it with that. Now since I used my paint brush to mix, I did take it over to the paper towel here and kind of make sure I didn't have full strength paint left. On the brush when I was doing the dry brush or the wash. All right. I'm just going to go and pull a little bit of this up. So we can let that dry. We did the barrel hoops and staff handle. I think we need to wash the skin. That's probably our next most important step. So we got this, some marine blue. So we got 1, 1, and 4. 1. One Auburn and 4 water. These empty Reaper bottles are handy for this. Just don't mix up your caps, because then you get paint in your water and it messes everything up. I'm going to try not to put my sleeve in wet paint. We're going to get rid of that. It has served its purpose. And I'll get a clean one out. So now we're just hitting the skin here. Again, trying not to get it to wick up the fur. It can always be a challenge. We got to go fix that spot on the tail yet too. Ooh, that was a lot. It's helpful to make sure everything's wet when you're doing these washes. That'll kind of help prevent tea staining. Oh, see, we wicked all over the fur there. So I'll just get this stuff done quick, and then I'll go in and dry it out with my brush as best I can. Really brings out some of the definition in the ears there. Good. Healthy dose on his face. Alright, let's clean up his fur. And we got most of it up, it should be alright. I'm going to clean up around his fingers a little bit. His face, his hands alright. While we're doing that, let's highlight blue on the staff. Use this color right here. Not sure if it says to dry brush this or not, but I'm not sure how I get a dry brush in there. Oh, I got some wash on this too. And that is making it pretty hard to touch up. I'll go to the next set of beads up. Just kind of dot in. And here I just want a little brighter spot right there. Just bring a little more attention to it. The next thing I think we can do is wash the horns while we wait for that. So our wash is 1 drop shield brown. And then, of course, water. Two drops water. 1, 2. Now, I am going to hold this guy upside down for a little bit until that wash kind of sets. Because that will definitely run all over the fur, I bet. Now we can get in here and get the back. Well, we can see I did a pretty terrible job washing the tail. Let's get in there and fix some of that. This went far more purple than I would have thought. So here we go to do something. Wash on his face is still wet, so I can't go back in there. His tail's obviously still wet because I still had to redo it. Horns are wet. Missed some more wash there. Oh, I can fix that spot on his tail. So remember there I got some on. I wanted to go in and just do a little re-highlighting. bed all fixed up. Looks like our base is dry, so let's go back and see what we can see. So we did the wash, now we're going to dry brush with white until I like how it looks. So I guess, in my opinion, I want it to be pretty white, but just the deepest areas still having a little blue to them. Okay, so wiping the paint off on this, that's tough. Because I cannot tell if there's still paint coming off or not. So the other thing I'm noticing pretty quickly is that this white is not covering that well. So we'll try leaving a little more paint down there. And we'll just have to go over it a few times. One more. All right. That is snow or something. Horns are still a little wet, but it looks like his skin is dry, so let's get the skin knocked out. So we base coated, we washed our first dry brush. How am I going to remember that white's on there? I'm going to have to refold that. Auburn Shadow and Gold and White. And it would appear we have reached our first clog of the day. So let's get that fixed. Much better. other than we nearly killed poor Krampus. I'll give that a mix. Ooh, that's going to be a heck of a jump. That's really pretty close to our base coat. Now again, on this first one, I'm going to put it on pretty thick. I don't really want to go underneath though. Not to get too much on its fur either. Alright, so let's get his ears. See how much of this I get on his fur. Alright, now we can get his face. This first one, again, I'm only trying to leave the very deepest spots. Hands. Boy, this is tough as a dry brush. I get it all over the fur, which I just got it on the bottom of his chin. Let's see what damage I can do over here. One done. Dry brush 2, another drop of gold, another drop of white. Alright, so let's hit the top of some stuff. The top of his tail here. Kind of go along just the edge. Look at this top a little bit. Get the edges. That edge here. Now let's get some ears. Get some other ears just a little bit. Not loving those fingers. So here I'm putting on quite a bit, but only on one side of his face and leaving the other side dark. Alright. And as a final, one more drop of each. And here, like we've been doing on the other stuff, just gonna kind of hit the tops. Alright, calling that skin dry brushed. Well, we got horns and details left. So with the horns, to dry brush, we need 2 drops of gold, 1 drop of brown, which I think actually that just made. Was that her water? No. That looks like a nice color. A little wet, but I think we can work around that. I got most of it off the brush. I'm kind of going with the grain here on the top half. Bring that up. Alright. Now we got just the gold color, which I already got out. I can just use this here. And we're just kind of doing more of a dry brush. But sticking to the top half. And then we got one drop of white. So here I'm really just trying to hit only the ridges, and failing at it a little bit. Alright, that one's done. Let's touch up his chin there. Seems to be where we got the worst of it. And we'll just come back in with our brighter color and re-highlight that up a little bit. There, we got that all fixed up. Alright, time for the finishing details. We got white onto the tips of the teeth. Paint the eyeballs black. And then the hooves. I'll try and fix my little hoops here on the eyeball. There we go. And then the hose, we want to do a little gray. One line right here. On this side. Just like that. And that's it.